What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Top American Bikes. Today we are talking about a motorcycle that has been quietly winning over riders who thought they already knew exactly what kind of bike they wanted. The Honda Rebel 1100. A cruiser that Honda built with a philosophy that is surprisingly simple and surprisingly rare in this segment. Build something that looks the part, rides brilliantly, and does not punish you for enjoying it every single day. And honestly, after spending real time with everything this bike has to offer, I think Honda landed closer to that goal than most people give them credit for. So let us get into it properly. But first, quick question. Are you currently on a cruiser, or are you coming from a completely different style of motorcycle? Drop your current bike in the comments below. Whether it is a Harley, a Yamaha, a Kawasaki, a BMW, whatever it is, let me know. Because the Rebel 1100 means something very different depending on where you are coming from, and I want to talk to all of you specifically as we go through this. Now let us start with what is sitting under that beautifully minimal bodywork, because this engine is genuinely one of the most interesting things about this motorcycle. The Rebel 1100 uses a 1082cc parallel twin engine, the same unit that powers the Africa Twin, which is about as good a starting point as Honda could have chosen. In the Rebel application, that engine is tuned specifically for low and mid-range torque delivery, which is exactly what a cruiser needs and exactly what cruiser riders appreciate most in real-world riding. You are looking at around 87 horsepower and approximately 73 pound-feet of torque. And before anyone in the comments compares those figures to a Milwaukee 8 or a 107 cubic inch V-twin, stay with me for a moment because raw numbers are only part of this story. What matters with any cruiser engine is how that power and torque arrive and how they feel under you in the real world. And in the Rebel 1100, the answer is smooth, linear, and genuinely satisfying. The torque is there from low revs without being abrupt or aggressive about it. The engine pulls cleanly and confidently through the rev range without ever feeling strained or breathless. And the parallel twin character gives you a mechanical feel and a sound that is distinct and appealing without being exhausting over long distances. Honda also fitted a built-in resonator to give the exhaust note a little more depth and presence than a standard parallel twin would naturally produce, and it works. This does not sound like a cooking commuter bike. It sounds like a proper motorcycle. Here is something worth thinking about, and I genuinely want your take on this in the comments. Do you think a parallel twin belongs in a serious cruiser? Or do you feel like a cruiser has to have a V-twin configuration to be the real thing? Because this debate comes up every single time the Rebel 1100 is mentioned, and the answers are always fascinating. Drop your honest opinion below, because there is no wrong answer, and I promise, the comment section on this one is going to be worth reading. Now the chassis and ergonomics are where the Rebel 1100 really starts to separate itself from a lot of the competition in this segment. Honda went with a low seat height of around 27.2 inches, which is genuinely accessible for a very wide range of rider heights and builds. The riding position is classic cruiser, with forward-set foot pegs and a relaxed reach to the handlebars, but it never tips over into the kind of extreme stretched-out position that looks great in photos and feels terrible after 45 minutes on the road. This is a riding position that Honda clearly developed with actual riding in mind, rather than purely with showroom appeal in mind. And that thoughtfulness shows up every time you spend a proper amount of time in the saddle. The suspension setup is worth mentioning because Honda did something smart here. The Rebel 1100 uses a single-sided swing arm, which is a feature you normally only see on sports bikes and premium machinery at significantly higher price points. It looks fantastic, it makes rear wheel removal straightforward, and it gives the bike a visual drama on the right side that really sets it apart from the crowd. The front end uses conventional forks rather than the upside-down units you might expect at this price, but they are well-tuned for the character of the bike, and in real-world riding, they do exactly what they need to do without complaint.
Braking comes from a twin disc setup up front with radially mounted calipers and a single disc at the rear, all managed by a 2-channel ABS system. Stopping power is strong, and the feel through the lever is good. Honda also included 2 riding modes, Standard and Sport, which adjust the throttle response and the traction control intervention level. It is a simple system, but it is effective, and having the ability to soften things up for relaxed cruising or sharpen them up when you want a bit more engagement from the throttle is genuinely useful in everyday riding. And speaking of everyday riding, let us talk about what the Rebel 1100 is actually like to live with, because I think this is where it genuinely earns its reputation. It is light for its engine size, coming in at around 221 kilograms, which makes it noticeably more manageable in car parks, on slow-speed maneuvers, and on anything other than a perfectly flat, smooth surface compared to heavier cruisers in a similar or larger displacement bracket. The fuel economy is respectable for the performance on offer. Maintenance intervals are sensible, and Honda's reliability record with this engine platform is already well established through the Africa Twin. This is not a motorcycle that is going to surprise you with unexpected problems or leave you wondering what just happened. It is a Honda. It is going to work every time you ask it to. Now, let us have a straight conversation about who this motorcycle is genuinely built for, because the Rebel 1100 has a specific kind of rider in mind, and being honest about that is more useful than trying to pretend it is everything to everyone. This bike is built for the rider who wants a proper cruiser that does not weigh as much as a small car. It is built for the rider who appreciates clean, minimalist design over chrome-covered excess. It is for the rider who wants modern electronics and a modern engine in a package that still looks and feels like a proper old-school cruiser in its proportions and its attitude. And it is very much for the rider who actually rides their motorcycle rather than just polishing it in the driveway on weekends. If that sounds like you, drop a comment below and tell me what it is about the Rebel 1100 that caught your attention first. Was it the looks, the engine, the weight, or something else entirely? Because the reasons people are drawn to this bike are almost as interesting as the bike itself, and I genuinely want to know. Now, let us be equally straight about where the Rebel 1100 is not the right answer. If you are a rider who covers serious long distances regularly and needs integrated luggage, strong wind protection, and a dedicated touring setup, this bike, in its standard form, is going to require some accessory investment to get there. Honda and various aftermarket suppliers offer luggage options and screen upgrades, but they are additions rather than standard equipment. If two-up riding with a passenger for long stretches is a regular part of your riding life, the Rebel 1100 can do it, but it is more comfortable for shorter to medium-distance two-up work than it is for extended touring days with a passenger. Know your riding and be honest with yourself about what you actually need. And if you are someone who specifically wants the sound, the feel, and the mechanical character of a large displacement V-twin, the parallel twin in the Rebel 1100 is genuinely good, but it is a different experience. It is smoother and more refined than a traditional large V-twin, and some riders will love that, while others will find it lacks the specific character they were chasing. Neither position is wrong, they are just different. The Rebel 1100 also comes in a TCX version, which adds a more upright handlebar position, a taller screen, a center stand, and a few other touring-oriented touches that make the longer distance use case noticeably more comfortable. If any of those features matter to your riding, it is worth spending the extra to get the TCX from the start, rather than retrofitting them later. Here is the bottom line on the Honda Rebel 1100. This is a motorcycle that Honda built with a clarity of purpose that is genuinely refreshing. It is not trying to out-chrome the traditional American cruiser. It is not trying to be a sports bike in a cruiser costume. It is a well-engineered, thoughtfully designed, modern cruiser with a brilliant engine, a manageable weight, and a visual identity that is clean and confident without being loud about it. For the right rider, it is one of the best value propositions in the cruiser segment today, and it is going to age very well both mechanically and visually.
If you enjoyed today's video and you found it useful, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more riders who are looking for exactly this kind of honest content, and it costs you nothing. And if you are new to Top American Bikes and you want straight-talking motorcycle content without the fluff, hit subscribe. We cover the bikes that matter in the way that riders actually want them covered. Drop your thoughts on the Rebel 1100 in the comments below. Buy or skip, current bike, where you are watching from, whatever is on your mind. Until next time, ride safe, and we will see you in the next one.